Welcome to the Living Your Legacy podcast.
I'm Kim Rain, a life coach and health mentor with over 13 years experience helping people lower their stress and anxiety, lose weight, sleep better and live happier, healthier, more purposeful lives.
I'm Helen Ranson. I've worked for 20 years as a self-employed psychotherapist and coach, helping clients of all ages and backgrounds who've experienced emotional issues, phobias and personal traumas.
The Living Your Legacy podcast is a quest to create amazing life stories, hang out in the moment and live a life full of joy.
Living Your Legacy is a podcast for anyone who wants to get off the sidelines and create the legacy they want to leave behind today. Welcome to this episode of the Living Your Legacy podcast. And my name's Helen Ranson, and I'm here today with a very old, well, she's not very old, but a long-standing friend of mine, Rachel, who I've known amazingly for 19 years now. And you will find Rachel on Instagram and Facebook as the Wonky Artist. And I'm here today to let Rachel share her unbelievable story with us all. I don't want to say any more, really. I'm just going to... Hi, Rachel. Over to you. Where do you want to start? Because your story goes back a long, long way, doesn't it?
Maybe start at the beginning.
Go on. That's probably a really good place to start. So I know the story, but obviously everybody listening doesn't.
Yeah.
And it is quite an amazing story that you've gone through a life full of resilience and determination and all sorts of health issues, mentally, emotionally and physically, I'm sure. And I just think you're a very inspiring lady and people would love to get to know you better. So
thank you.
So the start was when and where?
So what happened was, so I'm 44 now, and when I was 23, I had finished my degree in languages in Edinburgh, and I went to work on a little island in the Indian Ocean called Reunion, which no British person has ever heard of.
I haven't.
It's next door to Mauritius, beautiful tropical island. And I was out there teaching English and having a lovely, lovely time, obviously. And we lived near the beach and it was just beautiful. And I was there for about 7 months. And then one day I was off from teaching, went to the beach, went into the water like I had a million billion times before, and got hit by a freak wave that knocked me over and banged my head on a sandbank in the sea and immediately broke my neck. So that was 1998, March 1998.
And where did you break your neck? What level of?
So there's 7 vertebrae in your neck, and I broke the 5th and the 6th vertebrae.
And just explain the consequences of breaking your neck at that location.
So the consequences are, if you sever your spinal cord, then you'll never walk again. So ever since that time, I've always been a wheelchair user. Obviously, I have very, very limited sensation in my body, so I can only feel from chest upwards. I can't feel anything else. I get sensation, but no real feeling. My hands don't function normally. I can't move my fingers, but I've taught myself how to do all kinds of things with my hands over the years. Yeah, and also obviously, it's not just the physical impact, it's also the emotional impact, especially at that age when everybody else has just finished uni and off having their careers and getting on the ladder and doing all those things, and you're there stuck in a hospital bed in hospital for a year, and people tell you.
Where were you in hospital originally?
I was in Reunion for the first 10 days, and they had to stabilise me there because basically what happened was I swallowed so much water from the sea that I got blood poisoning.
Gosh, I didn't know that.
They didn't know if I was going to live or not because my blood was all toxic to wash it all out and stuff. And then 10 days after that, they flew me home by air ambulance. And it was me. I mean, I don't really remember very much about this, but there was me and a doctor and a nurse, and that was it. My mum and dad weren't allowed to come with me. And it was 27 hours back to...
Oh my goodness, is that the flight?
Because they had to, because it was a small plane, they had to keep landing.
Oh, right, okay.
For fuel and taking off again. So 27 hours. And then I went to Stoke Mandeville in Aylesbury for about 4 months. So I was in ICU in Aylesbury on a ventilator, not being able to talk at all, completely paralysed, not really being able to move actually at all at that point.
And at that stage, did you really understand what was happening to you and what, even though people use words sometimes, you don't really realise the implications of things, do you, until you start living it?
No, I mean, I didn't really, I think my mind was a mixture of drugs and confusion at that point. So no, I don't think I really understood the full impact. But then, you know, when something so sudden happens to you and you're so young as well, and you don't really have much experience of life, you can't imagine how you're going to feel about something like that or what it means until you start, you know, getting a bit better and people start to tell you things and you start to put bits together and realise that your life is going to be very, very different to the way you ever imagined it.
Because when you're young, you don't really have that need to get in touch with your own mortality, do you? It's always a long way away. And if you're very lucky, you've still got grandparents around and parents, and you don't think about the sort of that part of life, do you? It doesn't come into your arena when you're young.
No.
But you had it thrust in your face.
I did. And yeah, I mean, I'm just, you know, glad that I got through that. It was a really, really hard time. I had an out-of-body experience and all sorts of things happened. And yeah, but I'm still here.
You're still here.
And tell the tale.
To tell the tale with me today. And amazing things, really. You, against all odds, you've done all sorts of things that, even from when I knew you, you never thought would happen, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. I have. I mean, I think, you know, all your expectations change when you become disabled or ill, or, you know, the way that you thought life would be compared to the way it is hugely different. And I think that's the same for most people, actually, because you've got your expectations and then you've got your reality. But I think when you've got, you know, like a chronic disability or a life-limiting illness or something like that, you kind of have to face that and try and work your way through it as well as possible. So that's what I chose to do. So some of the things I've done. What have I done? Well, I think one of the main things that I learned to do when I was very newly injured, actually. So when I had to go home and live with my mum and dad for about 18 months when I was first injured, bearing in mind I hadn't lived with them since I was 18.
Gosh, that's tough.
That was really hard.
Yeah.
And one of the main things I did was to go to the gym to get stronger, because I wanted to be as healthy and as independent as I could be. So I went to the gym a lot.
Did you have support with that? Did you have somebody there working with you?
I did. Yeah. And then from that, I knew that, you know, that would help me to do loads of things. So from that, one of the very first things I did was learn to drive again with hand controls, because I could drive before my injury, like everybody, you know, normally. And then I had to learn how to drive again using hand controls. So that was great.
And driving is a big thing, isn't it? Because you see at the other end of life when people lose that, the independence of driving, what a massive impact it can have on
people's mental health.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. And the freedom it gives you to actually, and especially when your body is you know, you're locked in your body and you can't move that way, to be able to get out there and change your location in a car is really, a huge
really
thing.
helps. Yeah, definitely. It gives you lots of freedom, gives you options, doesn't it?
Of course, yeah.
To be who you want to be and create your new
to change your environment and bit of normality.
So that was the first thing that I did. And I mean, I'm driving, you know, ever since then. Now I've got a van that I drive from a wheelchair. So technology has got an enormous role to play, I think, with disabled people and independence. And the amount of things available to us now, albeit very expensive things, are worth their weight in gold for us. So.
And when I met you, you were struggling with living on your own. I don't know how long you had been sort of living in your own environment when I met you. How long would you have been?
Not very long at all.
And so you were struggling with the whole carer provision thing and finding reliable people you could trust. And
still struggling with that now.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, that just seems to be a constant, doesn't it? But all these things that really you shouldn't have to deal with, as well as your physiological situation. You get all this other stuff, like you say, everything suddenly becomes really expensive, and financial constraints put on your lifestyle. And obviously, if people were working before, they lose the ability to work.
Absolutely,
and it's a massive shift in many ways, isn't it?
It is. But with the provision for, I'll always need some care. So I can't. There's loads of things. There's loads of things I can do, but there are also loads of things I can't do. Like I can't get out of bed on my own in the morning. Not that I ever could before my injury, but I've definitely got a proper genuine excuse.
You've got a reason now.
Yeah. So that's difficult. Getting, being able to dress myself, I can't do that either. Moving about on my own is hard. Once I'm up in my chair, I'm pretty independent, but getting from the bed to the chair is the bit where, for the rest of my life, I know I won't be able to do those things. So you've just got to kind of get on with that. But it is very difficult because you've got to depend on other people, and
it's limiting. It's limiting, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, you're not as free. I'm not as free as I would have wanted to be.
And how have you coped? I tell you one thing that's just sort of resonating with me, because one thing, as you know, I've had sort of my own personal struggles with difficult times and mental health issues. And what's actually been really important to me, I have discovered as I've sort of grown older and older, is having time on my own and my own personal space. And that's like really, critical to my well-being now. So each day I spend time alone. I walk the dog. I always have those places I can retreat into myself.
You get in touch with yourself.
Absolutely, and they're vital. And you've always had to have people around you. And I can remember talking in the early days about, you really wanted to try and go alone, didn't you? Without care, to try and get back to that independence, and the sort of thing about having people living in your home and always in your space.
Yeah. Things have changed now, because in 2006, I met my husband-to-be, who'd never met anybody in a chair before, bless him. So that was a bit of a shock for him.
He's still recovering.
He is. He's still here. He's still here.
Mr. Wonky.
Recovering.
Yes. The wonky husband.
Wonky husband, yes. And in 2007, we got married in September. And I think from that time onwards, we decided between us that we didn't really want that level of intrusion of somebody, because I used to have 24-hour care.
I remember.
Not that I think now I'd need that anyway, because I've made so much progress. But, there are times in the day when I almost kind of need somebody who can be invisible and float about. And so I can just go, can you just do this? Or can you just do that?
AI could be the answer in the future. You can have your own little...
Or helper dogs are great.
Helper dogs,
yeah. So we decided that we didn't want that much. We wanted a bit more privacy, basically, and a bit more normality. And then in 2009, we had our daughter, Amelie. So, that it became even more important at that point to be as normal a family, whatever that is, as possible.
I don't think there's a normal, but anyway, whatever the adverts tell us is normal.
So, to just not have the same level of intrusion. And also the other thing about having somebody in your home all the time that isn't part of your family or your setup is that you've always got another person to think about. You've always got another person.
So there's an element of caring for them, as well.
Massively, yeah. And
especially if you're employing somebody, I suppose.
People don't. You have to sort out pensions. You have to sort out salaries. You have to think about their mental health. You have to think about, I've had loads of people come in and go, "Oh, hi, Rachel. So where are we off to today?" Like I'm there to entertain them.
Yeah,
that's not really what it's about. But I think people think that,
I think that's there are a whole raft of issues with the care industry out there that's desperately need addressing. But
lots of stories about care industry and some people that I've had, but Yeah, I think you know, and as you grow older as well. Now I'm a little bit older. You know, the people who come and help me are often quite a lot younger than me, whereas before they were always older. So now you kind of feel like you're playing this slightly more maternal role with these people and kind of looking after them and making sure that they're okay. And yeah, so people don't think about that, but that's the way it works, really. Yeah.
So getting married and having Emily was just,
Well,
you never really thought you'd go there, did you?
No,
I mean, that was just...
well, not in the beginning. No, I think the thing is that when you're first injured, you just can't imagine what your life is going to be like. All you know is that your life is destroyed and taken away from you. You don't think really about positive future or what could be your reality in the future. You don't have that kind of understanding because you've never been there before.
Yeah, of course.
And as that most people have never been there before. So I think one thing that really, really helped me in the very, very early days was peer support from people from the Spinal Injuries Association and the Backup Trust and people who had been there before me who could pass the word down to say, you know, your life isn't over. You can still, I don't know, have a career. You can still travel. You can still get married. You can still have kids. You can still have actually, in many ways, a very relatively normal life, just on wheels and not on legs. You know, so that's great to think. In the beginning, you need people like that because they're the people who you can look at and say, well, actually, they really know, they really understand.
And they, you know, them sharing their stories with you, which is what you're doing now, is inspirational. And apart from giving you information, just hearing stories gives you hope, doesn't it? For the future?
Massively gives you
somebody
hope.
else has got through it, so
gives
I can.
And... Yeah. It gives you hope, and it makes you feel that you know you can still create your own future. And you know that's something that was really important for me to have hope and to have focus and not kind of lose that and go into a downward spiral of depression and negativity. So, which also happens, obviously. But
Yeah. It's very hard to keep balance because life is so, on a day-to-day basis, just challenging.
Absolutely.
Constantly challenging.
Life is challenging anyway, but I think when you're on wheels, basically, you know, the environment around us where we live, it's got much better now, but still really, you know, we're a very rare breed, you know. The environment isn't built for people in chairs, it's built for people on two legs. You know, society isn't built for people in chairs, it's built for people on two legs because the majority of people are on two legs, aren't they? So, you know, it's got a lot better.
So you're compromised actually all the time, aren't you? Every day.
Of course you are.
Every day, your ability to live fully is compromised by the environment that we're in.
Absolutely. It's got so much easier as time has gone on, but yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, now society does recognise the need for more accessibility, more positive, well, not even really more positive attitudes, just inclusivity, I guess, and diversity and stuff like that. But I remember, for example, when I was first injured, I was telling somebody a story the other day. I was probably been injured about 18 months, and I had a really good friend lived in London, and I lived in Chester at that point. And I decided, right, this was going to be my first train journey on my own to London from Chester. So I got on the train to go to London from Chester, and this is probably 2000, and there were no disabled spaces on the train. So I had to travel all the way from Chester to London with a post.
You could have done a bit of sorting, I'm sure, while she was sitting there all that time.
And I mean, now that's just unthinkable, you know. I mean, if
gosh, can you imagine
anyone had put you in a
Daily Mail headlines?
Absolutely. Yeah, you would have had a field day with that. But at that time, it was just...
You were in the post room, fantastic.
Yeah. Wow. Things have changed a lot.
You get to see the whole world from a different perspective.
Absolutely do. You absolutely do. It's like when you have to go to a pub and you end up going through the tradesman's entrance because there's steps outside, so you see all the stuff that's going on in the background that nobody normally
privileged viewpoint, in many ways. So how has being a mum been for you?
Being a mum has been a great experience. I mean, I think in the beginning when I was pregnant, I was like, shit, what are we going to do? Because, I mean, we weren't not trying, but we weren't trying either. It just kind of happened really quickly. And I think I was really worried. I was like, well, I can't even dress myself. So how on earth am I going to dress my baby, and things like that. And I was like, oh, yeah, it was hard. It was hard to get my head around how I was going to parent on two wheels. But then again, I guess lots of people before me had done that, which helped. But there aren't many people with my level of injury, level of disability that have done that. So
because I remember that, the sort of medical profession being quite concerned about you when you were.
They were like, yes, you're
pregnant.
you're very high risk pregnancy.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to tell you that before. We just thought we'd leave
it's too late now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was quite frightening, really, because I didn't know what to expect. And I had a really crap time. I was in bed for 7 months straight because my blood pressure is compromised anyway. I've got really low blood pressure, but it went right down in its boots. And every time I tried to sit up, I nearly passed out because I was so dizzy and I couldn't eat. The only thing I could eat was cherry yogurt. That was it.
Okay.
I felt sick constantly. I had to come off medication very, very quickly, and that was really hard. There aren't many things that I actually need, but this one drug I do need it, and the side effects from coming off that were really, really tough. So yeah, it was not the most glamorous pregnancy, but I got through it. And yeah, Amelie was born in June 2009 by C-section. So yeah. And the thing is, for her, she's never known any different.
No.
So, she's only ever known me on two wheels. In fact, I think it took her till she was about 4 to realise that most mummies weren't on two wheels.
Did you have her eyes tested?
So yeah, now she gets it, but yeah, it's taken her a long time because it's just her normality. So she doesn't. Disability isn't a thing for her, really. So.
Yeah. So the last couple of years have been different.
The last couple of years have been really tough. Yeah, they have. So basically, I think mentally, I don't know. I think I just ran out of steam because it's just, life is just harder. Like, things take longer. You have to plan things more. You have to think ahead more. You can't really. Spontaneity is not something that's easy for people who are disabled. And I just ran out of steam emotionally. I think mentally, emotionally, I was knackered. And yeah, so my mental health suffered quite a lot. And then on the back of that, I think I started not eating as well and just kind of withdrawing from people around me and things. And then last year in January 2018, I got this really horrible pressure sore that, was really serious. We didn't realise how serious it was for a good while, but I ended up having to be in bed for 15 months. So from January 2018 to April 2019, I was in bed 100% full time.
And how much of that time were you in hospital?
I got sepsis twice. I was in hospital in February, March 2018. Then I was in hospital again in June 2018. And then I had an operation plastic surgery to correct my pressure sore in January 2019. And I was in for 3 months. So, yeah.
And that's really tough, isn't it?
It was really tough.
You're going through that and being removed from family life and the stability of everything is just an extra.
I'm still recovering.
Pressure.
I'm still recovering from that at the moment. So. I'm getting there. I'm nearly done now, but yeah.
But there was a consequence of you being in there.
There was. Yeah.
So the wonky artist appeared.
Yeah.
Out of that hospital bed. She was born in that hospital room. Tell us about her. Where did she come from? And
so,
had you known about her before?
No. So basically what happened was last year in June. So by last June, I'd already been in bed for 5 months, full time. Hadn't been able to leave the house at all. Hadn't been able to do anything normal, completely in bed. Unfortunately, because of all the cuts and everything that's happening now, the spinal unit were like, normally, well, in the early days, the spinal unit were always a go-to place for anything that happened, any complications of your injury. But these days, they just don't have the capacity to deal with complications of injuries. So they didn't support me in any way with the pressure sore. So I just felt really unsupported and really kind of forgotten about as an old injury. They're interested in new injuries and churning people out of hospital as quickly as they can get them in, but they're not interested in the complications of living, long term with an injury. And yeah, so I felt really unsupported, and I just went into a really black hole of depression and wondering what the point really was anymore, and just feeling like I didn't really know if I was ever going to get out of bed again or ever going to be able to live again, basically. So, and my husband saw all this, and he bought me a set of really basic watercolour paints and said, stop feeling so bloody sorry for yourself and do something positive and paint me a picture. I was like, what? I thought he was completely crazy because I'd never painted before. I think when I was at school, I gave up art when I was about 14, pretty much as quickly as I could because I was never any good at it at all. I hated it. And he said, yeah, paint me something. I was like, he's crazy. So I did. I painted a pot of lavender and I showed it to him and I said, look, I told you I was crap at this. So basically what happened from that was, because I was in bed, because I couldn't go out, because I was lacking stimulation, really, I just carried on painting. And what I found was that the more I painted, the more ideas came to me. And also it was like a massive outlet for me to be able to do something independently, in bed, using my own imagination, with my time, giving me a focus. And so the idea came to me to start painting places I loved or places that I wanted to go to, because one of the things that we love doing as a family is travel and adventure and finding new places and all that stuff. That's, a major part of life for us. And so I just bought places for me instead. I just started painting places. So I started in June, was really, really rubbish at it for ages, but kept painting most days, thinking, well, what else am I going to do? So, yeah. And then eventually I started painting every day, and I would put paintings up, my latest masterpiece on the wall, and people would come in and go, did you paint that? And I'd be like, yeah. And then they started saying, can I have one of those? Or oh, wow, did you do that? Did you really do that? It's like, yeah. So, can I have one of those? Or would you paint me this? Or it's my mum's birthday soon and I know she'd really love this. Yeah. So I started selling paintings in October. And in October, I started a Facebook page and an Insta page. And because basically I was in bed, lying on my side, painting using two hands because I don't have any grip in my hands, so I can't hold a paintbrush with one hand. All my lines and things that I drew were slightly at an angle, so not straight. So I was like, well, there you go. That's the wonky artist.
Oh, I didn't realise where the name came from.
So that's how the wonky artist was born. Yeah,
she was born in bed,
and here in the house. Yeah. And then I just carried on with the wonky artist. The Facebook and the Insta pages were really about reaching out to people who had a really crap time for whatever reason and just said, look, yes, we all acknowledge that it's really crap. We all acknowledge that depression is awful, but somehow you need to try and find something that you can help yourself to that might improve your situation. And now I've got, I think on Facebook, I've got over 2,000 followers and 1,000 followers on Insta.
And you're selling your paintings internationally.
And I'm selling them all over. Yeah, it's mental. So I just got an order this weekend, actually, for one going to Illinois in America.
Good heavens.
I've had painters go to Canada and Australia and New Zealand and Hong Kong and Germany and, yeah, all over the place. So, yeah.
Who'd have thought out of something so dark?
I know.
Such colour would come.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing as well. You know, I painted because somebody said to me, oh my God, I can't believe that your paintings are so happy considering, you know, what you're going through and stuff. But I just wanted to bring colour and light and joy to, you know, instead of some days I felt like all I could paint was a black page and that was it.
Yeah.
But, you know, on the whole, that really improved my mental health big, just to bring colour and joy and happiness.
And how did you come to the attention of the BBC?
So the BBC Northwest did a little online video about me. So what happened was as my audience grew, I think people started to share more and more of my stuff. And then a journalist from the BBC picked up on it, because obviously we're in Manchester as well. So, you know, we're not far from Salford where the BBC is, and said, actually, that would be a great story for us because it's about, I think the message is that hope can come from despair. And this is what happened. So, yeah, so they did a little clip about my work and me and yeah, and it was good. So, and off the back of that, I've had other things. I've been in magazines and things, and yeah. So.
Wow. And art galleries?
Art galleries, not yet. No, that's aspiring to a whole other level, I think, at the moment.
Keep aspiring.
But I am doing, in June, I'm doing the Didsbury Arts Festival in Manchester.
That's fantastic.
So from the 22nd to the 30th of June, where I'll be displaying work and also speaking about my experiences. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Quite scared, but also quite excited.
So are you painting every day?
Most days, yeah, because I'm doing commissions for people and things. So, yeah, I'm painting a lot. It's become a job, I guess. You know, it's very strange because, you know, if anybody had told me that I'd be an artist, I'd be like, don't be ridiculous. You know, I did a languages degree. I don't have anything to do with art. But that, yeah, I've had it. I mean, I've got an exhibition going at a local cafe at the moment, which is lovely.
Oh, fantastic.
And I've had another one in Northwich over Christmas. Yeah, so I think at the moment, you know, we just don't know where it's going to go, and that's exciting. It's
that's
good.
Okay.
There's no kind of limit. There's just.
And you have a shop on your Insta page.
I've got a shop on my Insta. Well, it's not even it. Yeah, there's a link to it on my Insta page. There's not a link on my Facebook page, but it's a WordPress. So there's a blog, and with the shop attached to that. Wonky husband does all that though, because I'm really not into. He has to write code and stuff.
Oh, blimey.
I know, it makes me glaze over.
poor wonky husband. Brilliant.
Yeah, but he's responsible for this, you know. So
it's his fault, so he has to shoulder some of the burden,
absolutely.
Doesn't he?
So he's my lackey. He does all the. He says all I do is faff around with a paintbrush, and he does the rest.
Yeah,
so
he loves it really.
He does all the wrapping and the yeah. I do all the orders and So we're making a good little team.
Amazing.
Oh, and we've also got Amelie who wanted a job in the family business, she told us.
Oh, right, okay. She's going to join in and
she's
she's
quality control.
Okay.
So she checks that all the envelopes have do not bend stickers. She checks all the addresses.
Fantastic.
And make sure that there's no marks on the paintings and everything as we send them out.
Good girl.
And she gets a £5 a week for that. So She's quite happy with that.
I bet she is. Well, I mean, the whole thing's an amazing story, and we've really only scratched the surface, haven't we? Talking. I mean, there's so much that you've been through, but it's just, I really wanted to share your story because of the sort of amazing outcome, really, such an unexpected outcome out of, as you say, a real bad place and despair.
Positivity, you have to dig deep sometimes to find it, but I think in a lot of instances there's always something good that can come out of something bad. You've just got to have that mindset, and sometimes
be open to it.
Yeah. Sometimes, it's really, really hard, as I know, to have that mindset because you just can't see anything good. But if you strive for it, and if you believe in it, you believe in you, then I reckon that you can always find something good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
Problem.
And I'd love to put your story up on the Surviving Me website. So that's another little job for you to get that sorted out and ready. And please go and visit Rachel's Insta page and Facebook and buy her paintings and be inspired by her story. So that's all for now. Go away, enjoy the rest of your day, and have a good think about it. We hope you enjoyed the Living Your Legacy podcast. If you did, subscribe and come back for the next one. If you didn't, well, there's no accounting for taste.